I just swear to God.
Hello? What is that?
I'm sorry. I just want to see my family. I want to see my family again, please.
What's your name?
Please, my name is Denise. I'm married to a beautiful husband, and I just want to see my kids again. Please, God, please protect me.
An Oceanside community becomes the site for a massive search and rescue operation when a 21-year-old woman vanishes from her home in the middle of the day, leaving her 2 young children behind. But police won't learn the savage truth about her disappearance until they get it from the most unlikely source. A desperate 911 call the young mother makes from her captor's cell phone.
Can you see, or do you have a blindfold on?
I can't see. Where are we? I don't know.
Now, in a shocking case that would leave a lasting impact on Florida law, police must fight through a sea of deception to bring her home before it's too late.
Are you gonna help me? Are you gonna let me out now? Oh, please.
Don't. I lost him. Chris, I lost her. The guy grabbed the phone from her.
It's January 17th, 2008, and Nathan Lee is on his way home from work. He hasn't had many chances to call home that day. Just a couple of brief calls with his 21-year-old wife Denise, who is caring for Noah, their 2-year-old, and Adam, their 6-month-old infant. Last he heard, she was giving the boys haircuts on the back porch, but he hasn't talked to her in 3 or 4 hours. He calls.
I'm gonna say this and say this once. I wholeheartedly believe every kidnapper, P3DO, and anybody of that nature definitely deserve to get the chair and imprisoned. Yeah, that's all I really gotta say, you know what I'm saying? They just deserve that, you know what I'm saying? I don't really like none of that stuff at all.
Once again, debating whether to stop for groceries on his way home. But when Denise doesn't answer, anxiety creeps in. After 2 more calls go unanswered, his confusion turns to worry. Perhaps she took the kids to the park or went to the store herself, but it was odd of her to not carry her phone. With his worry turning slowly to fear, Nathan arrives home at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon. Denise's Toyota is in the driveway. That's a good sign. When he goes up to the front door, he tries the handle. It's locked. Another good sign. Everything seems to be normal. It's not until he unlocks the door and steps inside that he begins to see signs of trouble. Denise's cell phone is right by the door, plugged into the charger. It shows 7 missed calls, most of which Nathan himself made on the way home. Strangely, the windows are shut, even though Denise told him that morning that she was opening them for the cool January air. With every step he takes, he calls out to Denise, thinking that she's perhaps in the shower or otherwise occupied, but there's no answer. The most distressing sign of all, though, is his children. Adam and Noah are in Adam's crib together, something that Denise does not allow. Both of them need their diapers changed. He cleans them up, his mind racing to figure out where Denise could be. It's unthinkable that she would have left their children alone in the house, and besides, her purse, her keys, and her phone are all right here. He calls Denise's father Rick, but he hasn't seen her. Alarmed at the news that his daughter is suddenly missing, he promises Nathan that he'll be right over. In the meantime, Nathan's fear has coalesced into panic, and he can wait no longer. He calls 911.
Northport Emergency?
Yes, I just got home from work, and my wife, I can't find her. My kids were in the house, and I don't know where she is. I've looked every single place, and I don't know.
Your kids are at home by themselves?
Yes. No, I know. I don't know where Mommy is.
She's never done this before?
No. I don't, no. I mean, I've been home almost 10 minutes now. I haven't seen her.
All right, Nathan, I have an officer en route for you. If she does return home by the time we get their calls back, let us know, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
But unfortunately, Denise does not suddenly appear. Someone does arrive at the house, however. It's Denise's father, Rick. a sergeant with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. But while his proximity to this mystery may have a subtle effect on the attention it receives from law enforcement, this isn't his jurisdiction. Northport is in Sarasota County, so all Rick can do is make suggestions to the responding police, as he later explains to detectives.
I go, can I please get my helicopter, my dog? And she goes, well, we're not at that stage or something because we don't even know what she was wearing or anything like that. And I go, well, I really don't care what she's wearing or not. If there's a girl or something laying in one of the woods, we'll be glad to stop and check, even if it ain't her. You know, it doesn't matter. I just want to get the helicopter up. We're not there yet. And I go, can we please, has anybody talked to the neighbor? And she goes, no. And we haven't talked. And I go, can we, well, we're not there yet. And I'm going, okay. And that kind of made me mad.
The responding officers may not have much interest in speaking to the neighbors quite yet, but Denise's husband Nathan heads next door.
I knocked on the door, the boy answered that was there, and I asked him if he'd seen my wife, and he said no. He said, your wife? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know where she is. He's like, I haven't seen her. I didn't know there was anybody else in the house. I guess that girl that was the witness, she was home then, but she didn't say anything.
Police eventually do talk to this girl. She reveals that she did indeed see something that afternoon, and what she tells them adds a horrifying new dimension to this already disturbing situation. Here she recounts that afternoon with investigators.
I was sitting in my living room, and a green Camaro kept driving by my house. So I went outside, and he pulled into the neighbor's driveway. I made eye contact with him. He seemed normal, so I wasn't too suspicious about it. I just figured he was lost. I saw him. He had light hair, was tall. It was anywhere between 1:30 and 2:30. So I would probably say around 2 o'clock. I was just sitting here watching TV, and he drove by probably, I'd say at least 4 times, just driving creeping back and forth very slow.
The new information is distressing, and Nathan can't help but begin to wonder about the factors that might have led someone to target his wife.
Something that always made me nervous, and I couldn't get mad at her for it, but I know she generally walked around the house in a shirt, just a shirt and underwear, and she didn't necessarily have all the blinds shut all the time. I just remember a couple times just going, the blinds are open, and she always say nobody can see, because our house is obviously secluded.
Denise's father has his own theory, not far removed from Nathan's.
She was on the back porch cutting Noah's hair. And the back porch, what I'm talking is you go out these 2 sliders, and it's just like a little screened-in enclosure, about not much big, maybe a little longer than this, but about this wide. And that street's a circle, and if you're coming from the back street, you can see the little high chair that you're sitting in.
That's all wide open.
All wide open. And in my mind, he's eager.
The mere idea that a stranger in a green Camaro might have spotted Denise from the road is eerie and sickeningly random. Then again, maybe it wasn't exactly a stranger. Nathan tells his father-in-law something that could give police their first solid lead.
He goes, the guy that works on drives a green Camaro. He goes, I think we found a green Camaro. He goes, and we ran him, and he goes somewhere in Norfolk, we're going to check him out and all this stuff. And then maybe a little smartass, I guess. I go, did you ask my son-in-law Nate if the guy that works for him ever been to his house, seen his house, know where he lives, right? That's a good question.
Police speak to Nathan's co-worker, but his car is a much older body style than the one reported by the neighbor. This particular individual appears to be a dead end, but police issue a be-on-the-lookout alert for the car in question, and the multi-agency search team finally has something solid to look for.
Look for a light-colored green Camaro, too. Light-colored green Camaro. We know approximate year, owner, new model.
And it's going to be actually a darker green Camaro, and it's going to be probably an early 2000s, late 90s model.
Even with police beginning to swarm the streets and helicopters taking flight, it won't be easy to find a single green Camaro in the area. And unfortunately, it's been at least 2 hours since the car was spotted in the Lee driveway. With I-75 running straight through Northport, there's no sure way to know if the Camaro is still in the area or if it even is connected to Denise's disappearance. Back at the house, Nathan and his father-in-law are getting anxious.
And I go, listen, guys, kid out there, stop every friggin' green Camaro you see out there. Ralph's still standing there. I go, Ralph, what are you doing? I was told to stay with you. I go, you get your fucking ass out on that goddamn road. I don't give a shit. You stop every goddamn green Camaro.
Police are combing the streets, but nothing comes of the early search for Denise. It's as if she vanished from the face of the earth without the slightest trace. The police need something more to go on, and at 6:14 that evening, they get it in the form of one of the most chilling 911 calls imaginable.
911. Hello? What is that? I'm sorry, I just want to see my family. Hello? I want to see my family again, please. Hello? Hello? Please, I just want to see my family again. Let me go. Please let me go. Please let me go.
Alright. Let's talk about this for a second. I swear to God, 911 operators have to be the dumbest fucking people on the earth. Like, you hear this lady fucking screaming, I just want to see my family again. Let me go. Why are you still saying hello? Nigga, you should already be tracking the phone to the location. You, like, come on, bro. Like, look, I'm alright. I'm gonna watch. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. Damn. Well, we just gonna continue the video.
I just want to see my family again. Okay. Hello?
The woman on the other end of the line is frantic and desperate. That much is clear from the sound of her voice. But she's not immediately responsive to the operator's questions, which makes communication difficult.
No.
What is the address that you're at? Hello, ma'am? Where are we going? I gotta go up and around now. Up and around where? Can you see that? 4 streets, 5 streets over from your house. I couldn't. What's your name, ma'am? Hello? Please. What's your name? Please, my name is Denise. I'm your beautiful husband, and I just want to see my kids again. Your name's Denise? What's your last name? Please.
Against all odds, it seems that Denise has somehow managed to call 911 without letting her captor know that she's on the phone. Now she's tasked with not only getting vital information to the operator, but do so without alerting him to her call. The operator begins to catch on to the dangerous game being played on the other end. But if the voice in the background belongs to Denise's kidnapper, he too appears to realize that something is amiss.
Thank you, too, that he doesn't know. Please, God, please protect me. Are you on I-75? Where are we? I don't know.
I would like get on the phone and do that shit on the shit so they can track that shit. Like, he can't find
where are you at?
Type shit.
Can you tell if you're on I-75?
I
don't know where your phone is. I'm sorry. Denise, do you know this guy? He might have the phone laid down and not hear a thing I'm saying, too. He keeps saying about the phone. I don't know where it is. Maybe if I could see it, help me find it. What's your address? What's your home address, do you know? I don't know. Please take me to my house. Please take me home. I'm okay, please. Can you see, or do you have a blindfold on? I can't see. Can they turn off the radio or turn it down? I can't hear you. It's too loud. Where are we? Are you gonna help me? Are you gonna let me out now? Help me. Don't. I lost them. Chris, I lost her. The guy grabbed the phone from her.
The call ends abruptly, but the police spring into action, gathering every detail they can. Even as its grim implications bear down on the family, police know it's a powerful lead.
Next time we hear something on the radio about a 911 call. And I go, 911 call? Yeah, it's from your daughter or something like this, or someone calling in, 911, saying she's been kidnapped. And name's Denise Fleetman. I go, holy shit. Now it's the worst nightmare coming true.
Even before police can trace the owner of the cell phone, another 911 call comes in. It's from a girl named Sabrina. and she has bizarre information that adds even more urgency to the situation.
So what's the problem?
I just got a call from my dad, and his cousin came over his house with a girl in the car, and she was tied up. And the girl came got out of the car, and my dad's cousin went and put her back in the car. And when she got out,
Okay, where's your dad's house?
It's in Northport.
Do you know the address of it?
He wants to be anonymous. His cousin left.
Okay, what's the cousin driving?
A green Camaro.
Where would he be going with this female?
He came over to my dad's house, borrowed a shovel, a gas tank, and something else.
The operator ultimately gets a street name from the girl and finishes the call with a crucial question.
All right, what's the cousin's name?
His name is Gary King.
Gary?
King, yeah. Oh, it's not Gary King, it's Mikey King.
Michael King?
Yeah.
Okay.
Police now have a name to put with Denise's kidnapper. Not only is 36-year-old Michael King the registered owner of a 1994 dark green Chevy Camaro, he's also the owner of the phone Denise called 911 from. Investigators rush to his address.
Yeah, there is a TV on in the house and sounds like voices inside the residence. Have you got the vehicle there? Well, it could be in the garage. There's a new car garage and then a single car garage that's next to it, and there's no windows, so I can't tell. But it does sound like there's voices on in the house. The neighbor directly next to him advises she believes he's possibly home and does park his car in the garage. He does still drive Camaro and does still reside in Sardinia. And to her knowledge, he is home.
Police knock repeatedly on Michael's door, but no one answers. Knowing that too much time has been wasted already, a Northport police sergeant gives his men the go-ahead.
I want entry made on that house. And for the two marked officers at the front, make entry. The two uniformed officers make entry.
Police force their way into the home of the man they now strongly suspect kidnapped Denise in broad daylight. Inside, though, they find a house that's not only empty of occupants, but of almost any furnishings whatsoever. Even so, someone has been here. The television is blaring, and so is a small radio. In the master bedroom, the police uncover a disturbing scene. A long piece of cloth is carelessly tacked over the window, perhaps to isolate the victim. As a rumpled Winnie the Pooh blanket lies on the floor, what officers discover next to this dismal makeshift bed is truly horrific.
We do have duct tape watered up in a bedroom with long strands that look like light brown hair.
In the kitchen trash, they uncover another matching wad of tape with similar strands of a woman's hair attached to it. The evidence clearly indicates that something troubling happened in this house today.
If you're real comfortable that there's nobody in that house, go ahead and clear out and secure. Stand for. Everybody's cleared.
I never miss. I can't miss.
The discovery of this terrifying dungeon makes it all the more apparent that police are facing an extreme emergency. If this man, Michael King, is willing to kidnap a woman out of her own home, right in front of her two kids, bind her, and bring her back to his lair of darkness, he is a man capable of unimaginable evil. At this point, finding Denise and returning her to safety is more urgent than ever. Finally, at a little past 9 o'clock that night, a Florida highway patrolman sees approaching headlights on one of Northport's main highways. Trooper Pope knows his vehicles, and those headlights have a distinctive shape. He stomps the gas and gets behind the vehicle, which immediately gets on I-75 going south. The orange street lights make it difficult to determine the color of the vehicle, but it's definitely a mid-90s Camaro.
Northport units, FHP has a vehicle stopped at 178 southbound, 178 southbound. Tag is verified by FHP.
It's him, Michael King. This day's agonizing manhunt has finally come to an end. The only question now, will Michael surrender and give up his victim, or will he engage in a final violent standoff with police? Trooper Pope is ready for either scenario. Michael has had this innocent woman in his clutches since at least 2:30 this afternoon, but his reign of terror has come to an end. Trooper Pope can't see a passenger, but it's dark and he's positioned well back from the Camaro. Denise could be tied up prone in the back seat or even in the trunk. His gun drawn on the suspect, Pope orders Michael out of the car, but the order falls on deaf ears. When Michael continues to disregard Pope's commands, he finally threatens to shoot at the vehicle. Following this threat, Michael finally steps out of the vehicle and is immediately placed under arrest. But he has chilling news to deliver. Pope observes that Michael claims to be a victim of a devious kidnapping. However, the evidence found on Michael and his vehicle reveal another story. Michael's jeans are wet from the waist down. His shoes are wet and caked with mud. In the car is a wet shovel, dirty with the same fresh mud. But worse than what he sees is what he doesn't see. There's no sign of Denise.
Units responding to the interstate. Michael King is 1012. The female is not 1012 with the vehicle.
With Denise still missing, Pope is in no mood to play nice. Michael once again claims to be a victim as Pope continues to badger him for Denise's location before putting him in the car. It's a bittersweet end to the manhunt. Michael King is in custody, but the whereabouts of Denise Amber Lee remain unknown. Northport police detectives arrive on the scene, and Michael insists once more that he is a victim. Just like Denise, I was hijacked, he tells them. He clearly knows exactly why police pulled him over and what they suspect, but he is committed to a very unlikely version of the story. The frustrated detectives decide to play along for a short while. They ask Michael to lead them to the places he and the girl were taken by their mysterious abductor. And though Michael says that he was blindfolded for much of the time, he agrees to take them to a couple of isolated wooded areas where he believes they may have been during this wild ordeal. Unsurprisingly, a search of these locations yields no discoveries, much less the finding of Denise Lee. They take him back to the station for questioning, but it becomes quickly apparent that he has nothing of value to share.
At one point, did you tell that trooper, you say that you wanted a lawyer?
All the way through.
All the way through?
As soon as they put me on the ground.
That one trooper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All of them, actually. I was telling every one of them.
Okay. And at one point, when you saw me, you saw me, you told me that you come out to me and said you were the hostage. You were a victim, you were a hostage.
Did I tell you what now?
Do you recall that?
I told somebody.
You told me that you were a hostage and that you were a victim. So you started the conversation with me, and when we finally figured out that you were saying that you were, a victim as well.
Right.
You understand that? Okay. So that is true?
Right.
Okay. You understand right now you're being detained for questioning.
The detective then reads Michael his Miranda rights in full.
Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us here now?
No, I just want an attorney.
You want an attorney?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think that's right.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's a better have attorney.
Okay.
It's clear that Michael's story isn't fooling anyone as detectives continue to question him about Denise's troubling disappearance. The gravity of the situation hits home when police find a heart-shaped ring in the back seat of the Camaro. When they show it to Denise's husband, his profound anguish speaks volumes.
Is this her ring?
Yes. That's the first ring I gave her. First Valentine's Day.
How confident are you that's her ring?
100%.
Did the ring slip off her finger accidentally, or did she cleverly remove it at some point as evidence of her own abduction? Police can't be sure, but they know one thing. Denise was in the back of that car. Meanwhile, although Michael refuses to submit to an interview, he opens up about the events of that day to an investigator who comes to sit with him. Unfortunately, very few of his details seem to make any sense.
Man, bad day.
Sounds like it. I don't know. I just got to work. I'm working here at night, so.
Just got hijacked. That's all I know. It's a bunch of crazy shit.
Hijacked?
Well, when I pulled over to the side, I could tell he grabbed me and threw me in the, across the passenger seat and, into the floorboard and put some stuff on my legs and hands, and then he duct taped me.
In your own car?
Yeah, man. Fucking had him too quick. I didn't open the door, just grab right here. Right to the floor, man. Just shut up. And just, put my hands on my back and put, like something tight, and I went around my ankles, man. I couldn't even move, man. He's like, you move, I'll just kill you. Just shut up. That's what happened.
Whoa, I didn't know about all that.
The cop patiently explains to Michael that his refusal to cooperate doesn't exactly back up his story.
Well, I guess what I'm learning here is you're claiming to be a victim.
I am, but
Okay.
I don't understand what
But no one can help you or no one is helping the situation here. We can't talk to you because you said you didn't want to talk to us, is where we're at.
Well, they don't know if I'm gonna stay here or can I go or what? I mean, they don't know.
I can't help you unless you want the help, or I can't talk to you unless you want to talk to me.
There's no way to get an attorney or something like that I could talk to and find
That's
out
right.
so I can get out of here. That's the only way to do it, I think.
Okay, so what are you saying?
I'd better have somebody I can talk to that I can talk to to get me out.
You're welcome to use this. I can't tell you anything else. I mean,
So am I being arrested then? For anything? I mean, they can't hold you unless you're going to be arrested.
that part I honestly don't know.
I mean,
But
you're
the
holding me
gist
there.
of what I heard is you said you were a victim.
Yeah, but they're holding me against my will. I get handcuffs. I mean,
Yeah, they're definitely detaining you. I can see, we both know that.
Michael isn't the only one at the station that night. Northport detectives have also brought in his cousin Harold, whose daughter called 911 earlier that evening. Harold himself called police that night as well, although he was far less forthcoming.
I'm not sure exactly what the emergency is exactly, but I think there's somebody that's been taken without their, they don't want to be where they need to be.
Uh-huh.
And they're in a 95 green Camaro from Northport somewhere.
Okay, and how do you know this?
I know. Just,
Do you know where they are?
I have no idea.
And who did they take?
Some girl taken anonymous, and she didn't want to, I don't think she wanted to be where she wanted to be.
Do you know who the guy is?
No.
Anything else you can tell me?
No.
And,
Let me let you go.
can you give me anything else?
If I can find you something else, I will.
Okay, can I get your name and number?
No. I'll get involved with that.
Okay.
When Harold comes to the station, having been readily identified by his daughter, he gives police a much fuller version of the story.
Mike King came over and he walked into the kitchen. Well, I need to buy a gas can and shovel and flashlight. Okay. I got a flashlight in my room, one that worked. Walked out the trailer, got him a can and shovel, gave it to him, and then he said, "Oh, gotta go." Headed towards his vehicle, was parked across the road, and I see him in there wrestling with somebody, and I heard some girl say, "Call the cops." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." And he took him.
When you called your daughter, what did you tell her?
I told her that I think something's up because Mikey had someone in the car that I don't think she wanted to be there. And she said, "Oh, you need to call the cops." I said, "Yeah, I know." And run over to Mikey's looking to see what's really up. He's in the past, he's had some girlfriends that are really, I hear from his mother telling my mom that some of these girls were kind of out there,
Could you see if anything was binding her in any way?
His cousin came over his house with a girl in the car, and she was tied up.
Obviously, if she wanted to call the cops, she would have been out of there by then. I'm assuming she must have been tied.
But you didn't see anything?
I didn't see nothing.
It appears that the police aren't quite certain they're getting the whole truth from Harold, but he's not entirely uncooperative. However, they aren't just interested in hearing his side of the story. To fully understand why he may have done something like this, they need to hear from those who know him best. People like his current girlfriend and her grandmother, who say that Michael has hit a rough spot in recent months.
And to my understanding, Michael King is your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you and he been seeing each other?
It would be about a year, off and on.
Okay. Other than him filing for bankruptcy, are there any other issues, I guess, or any problems that he might be going through right now? I mean, how is he doing at work? Are there problems at work?
He's not working right now. He put some applications in, and the people were supposed to get a hold of him for the plumbing, and he hasn't.
Up north or down here?
Here.
And is that why he decided to go back to Michigan?
Yes.
Meet Panera's new Ciabatta Dippers, a duo built for dipping. Here for a limited time.
Police learned that Michael spent much of the last month up north in search of employment. When that didn't pan out, he came back to his house in Northport, leaving his 11-year-old son behind with family. The house itself stands empty because Michael left most of his furniture at an ex-girlfriend's house after they broke up.
There's no furniture in the rest of the house.
Just the bedroom? No, there's no furniture. When I was with him, there was no furniture.
There was just an air mattress
on the floor. Air mattress.
Oh, there wasn't an air mattress? They slept on the floor, okay. Oh, okay.
Police now have a perspective on why Michael's house is so barren, but so much about their strange suspect remains a mystery.
I didn't know him that well. I've seen him on maybe 4 or 5 occasions, but he really seemed to be a nice young man.
Yeah.
It appears that the two seem convinced of Michael's innocence, but the same cannot be said for his cousin, Harold. Following his own interview with police, he goes in to see Michael. Police leave the camera rolling as their suspect launches once again into his tale of a highway hijacking.
What are you doing? I don't know, man. I got hijacked. Like I told you that. I couldn't. I tried to put 911 on the phone and everything. So I called T. Fucking wouldn't say nothing. Instead of kill. You know, crazy. I couldn't do anything. If I said anything, then he would have took everybody out. And I didn't have anything in my garage or anything. It was pissed off. What would I do? Put everybody else in harm?
Who was it?
I don't know, man.
Somebody in the street seen it, and somebody called. Next thing you know, I got cops at my house. Like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do here?
No, you did the right thing.
I didn't
know how to say it to you without. For you to call without him knowing.
Was there somebody else in the car, you mean?
Yeah, and he had to be. The only reason I had to have his phone on. You know, the phone. And he hear everything. If it's one mistake, I'll come in. That's it, all of them. I didn't want no problems.
Michael's story isn't getting more believable with these added details, and one wonders if even his cousin is startled by his audacity.
Can't they ask her or anything? Can't they just, did they let her go? Do you know?
I don't even think they found her.
Because all they gotta do is find out from her. He said he let us both go if we did everything we said.
We have to find her.
That was the deal. You know what I mean?
Michael's story remains absurd to anyone but Michael himself, and the detectives have grown tired of his refusal to cooperate. They're also determined to make sense of his spotless record, which gives no indication that such a shocking crime could be coming. When they speak to a woman named Stephanie, however, she has an interesting story to narrate. The statements made here are not verified and only depict the opinions of the interviewee. Stephanie, whose husband was friends with Michael, says that Michael would try to turn her against her husband with lies about his unfaithful behavior.
Like, you know, he used to buy prostitutes before he met me, and he was, you know, a bad person, and this and that, and just trying to, like, you know, just fill my head with, you know, stuff about John. I don't know why, but he convinced me to go over to his house for one day.
And you don't remember why?
Well, it was because he was saying all that stuff about John.
Okay.
So it made me mad, and I believed him.
Okay.
And so I stayed there one night, and we rented movies and watched movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like the whole entire time I was there, all he was doing was telling me more and more stuff about John. And then I was like, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, I just knew it. I knew he was lying.
Stephanie tells the detectives that she spent most of that day and night in Michael's bedroom, drinking the beer that he bought for her on the way over to the house.
And John didn't consume alcohol with you?
John and I?
I'm sorry.
Mike, no.
Michael? No, okay.
You had sexual intercourse with Michael?
Yes.
Okay. But that was consensual?
Yes.
You sure?
I was drunk.
Okay.
So I don't really know.
When you realized that you were having sex, explain to me that, or you know, how you came to realize that was going on, if that makes sense.
Well, it was like I was sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
and I woke up.
And he was engaging in intercourse with you when you woke up, it was already going.
Yes.
Okay.
The story.
Bro. Oh my God. I don't know if this bitch lying or not, but yo, if that is true, bro, this nigga's actually a sick fucking animal, bro. I swear to God. Like, it's no fucking way in hell he's doing this shit to multiple women.
Ray speaks to a different sort of man than the one his girlfriend's grandmother referred to as a nice young man. And it isn't the only one. Police also speak to a 13-year-old girl who says she had a chilling encounter with their suspect less than a year ago.
Okay, I got off the bus, and then I called my mom to ask if she can come pick me up, and then she couldn't because my dad was in the reserves. So then I kept walking home, and then I turned on, then I saw the Corvette pass me, and it turned on the street that I usually go on home. And then I turned on to, I think, Kinlock, and I turned on to Stokey, and then I saw him again. He drove past me, and then I turned on to Vulgate, and then I saw him pass me again, and then I kept walking again, and then I saw him pass me again, and then I took off running home.
Her mom called the police, giving them the tag number of the Corvette. It comes back registered to Michael King, whose house on Sardinia sits only a couple hundred feet from the bus stop. But when police stopped by Michael's house, they found a man who seemed to have all his ducks in a row. Detectives speak to the officer who responded that day.
He basically dispelled my alarm. He said that he was in the area looking for a house to rent because this house happened to belong to his parents and it was for sale, and there was a for sale sign in the yard, and he had a couple flyers from the rental flyers that was in people's yards that were in those areas, and he said, no, I was driving around in that area and basically looking for flyers, and he showed me a couple of them. I ran them through NCIC and documented it on the notes and closed it out.
King may have had a convincing story that day for the cops, but for the young girl, there was little doubt about his intentions.
Pretty safe to say you got the impression that he was there because you were there, huh? Freaked you out.
Yeah.
Okay. Scared you pretty bad?
Yeah.
Soon, police hear from another woman who used to work next door to Michael's place of employment. She tells police that he exposed himself to her in the parking lot about a year ago while she was pumping breast milk in her car.
He purposely faced me. I mean, he could have, if he had to go to the bathroom, he could have went behind a tree or, turned his back. But he purposely stopped right in front of where I was and exposed himself. And I saw, a weird look on his face. I don't know what he was doing, but I didn't want
weird, like what?
I don't know, he just kind of had his mouth open, I don't know if it kind of looked like a pleasurable look, something of that sort.
These disturbing stories paint a different picture, and after getting their suspect a new outfit, the detectives let Michael know that their mission isn't over yet. The search teams are still aggressively looking for Denise, hoping against hope to find her alive.
You let me down, Mike.
Huh?
You let me down. Now I'm going to have to go find him myself.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to. And I've got 100 other people that did. Why are we doing it like this?
I wonder what happened,
Come on. That isn't working no more. There are 20 people out there, TV station, sitting up front waiting for you right now. We've been up for 28 hours and we'll be up all day now because of you. Think about telling us where she is, all right?
But Michael isn't giving up his claim of innocence, leaving the Northport police with no alternative.
You're under arrest, Michael. For kidnapping. For right now. For right now. Till later on today. Understand? Get it this way, Mike. This is only the beginning now.
It's a beginning that will start with Robert, a work associate of Michael's who initially tells police on the night of Denise's abduction that he has had no recent contact with their suspect at all. The next morning, however, with news of the kidnapping dominating the local media, Robert goes to the police station to reveal that this wasn't exactly the truth.
The average person sees around 10,000 online ads daily. Here's how a man's life would change if he...
When I was on my way to Knights Trail Park, that's when Mike called me. And I told him I was going to the gun range, and
I actually invited him.
Far from having had no recent contact with Michael, Robert reveals that they went shooting together only a few hours prior to Denise's abduction.
He said he had a 9mm, but he said, I don't have any ammunition. I said, well, that's no problem. I said, I have a 9mm too. I said, I got a box of ammunition. It's no big deal.
Robert tells the police that this conversation took place around 12:30 yesterday, but he can't be more precise than that. He explains to the detectives that he erased Michael's call from his phone log because he didn't want his wife to see it.
I didn't want her to know I was talking to him. I know she doesn't like him.
The detectives understandably find this deleted call suspicious, and it's not the last red flag Robert throws at them. Still, they let him finish his story.
What was he driving?
He had that green Camaro, and it did have a black bra on the front of it. But he was by himself.
Robert tells the detectives that he and Michael stayed at the range for an hour or so before calling it a day.
Did he say where he was going after he left the range?
He told me he was going to go home.
Robert's story would appear to clear himself of any wrongdoing, but the detectives can't help but feel that there are portions of the story that Robert is leaving out.
Did you lie to that detective last night and not tell her that you seen him that day?
Well, yeah, I guess technically it would be considered a lie. It bothered me all night.
All right, let's talk about this.
First thing in the morning, that's what I wanted to tell her.
Okay. The detective's on the phone with you, and she's telling you and asking you some questions about Mike, right?
Yes.
And you fail to tell us, law enforcement, that you were with him that day at the gun range. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It's pretty huge, don't you think?
Robert insists that he didn't realize the incident was this serious and that his only motivation was keeping it from his wife.
Oh, she must be quite a tyrant, huh?
Well, she's not a tyrant, but she's very jealous. And
why would she be jealous of a guy?
It's not of a guy. It's the fact that, if I'm not actually working, then I should be home spending time with my family and not going off to the gun range.
This won't be the last time detectives speak to Robert, and they will learn that he still hasn't told them the full truth about his recent involvement with King. Before they can delve more into investigating those details, a police search team makes a heart-wrenching discovery. On January 19th, 2 days after Denise went missing, investigators are searching an abandoned development site when their canine catches a scent in the air.
I saw a large sand pile there, and we continued to walk. As I approached that sand pile area, it kind of opens out a little bit, and he pulled the leash out of my hand and took off into the little wooded area there. And that's when I saw the area and stopped, looked at it, showed my observer, Kim, and said, that just doesn't look right. And I said, see how the soil is different, starts from here, stops there, and the bahia grass was all laid across the top of it with the clay sand that you could see. I thought I saw several packed footprints along the edge. Once I started seeing that, I said, we need to move out because this may be something. We don't want to contaminate it, so we moved out.
Detectives come to the scene and quickly find something that confirms their worst suspicions.
And they started to walk in. As they walked in, either Eckerd's foot kicked the little sand piles that were right before you walk in. They're like dinner plate size, little patches. They looked odd when we walked in. He either kicked it or his foot caught it, and when it flipped it over, there's all this blood underneath of that. And that's when we all said, whoa, and then everybody backed out.
Convinced about what they might find, investigators begin digging in a disturbed patch of land, and at 3 feet, they discover the naked body of a woman, buried in a shallow grave with a gunshot wound to the head. Nearby, a single 9mm shell casing is found in the overgrown lot. This eerie discovery raises serious questions about Denise's fate, who had made a 911 call just hours earlier. That's more than can be said for Michael's evolving story. In jail, he tells a corrections officer an astounding account of what happened to Denise that night. And if what he's told police thus far about the kidnapping is ridiculous, this story takes it to a whole new level.
He said that he met this girl behind his house in the back of the woods while they were...
behind his house?
Behind his house. He goes, they had sex 3 times that day, and it was all consensual. He goes, we went out for lunch. She wanted to go out for lunch. He goes, then she started getting worried about her husband or her boyfriend. He goes, I don't know who, if she was married or not, that somebody was going to catch them. So instead of going all the way to her house, he told her to get out of the car a couple blocks away on some dirt road or some road off to the side there in Northport. He didn't mention no street name or nothing like that. And he goes, and then when she started walking towards her house, that a helicopter from Charlotte County came flying by, and that they're hovering pretty low, and that they shot Amber King.
Did he say when you say?
No, I'm sorry. He says, yeah, he just said that they shot her. I says, you're telling me that a policeman shot her? He goes, yes. I says, well, what did they do? He goes, they took off because they were scared.
King went on to explain that he reacted to this insane turn of events in the way any normal person would.
I says, well, what did you do? I says, did you actually see her get shot? He goes, yeah. He goes, I saw her. He goes, I saw the blood coming out of her blonde hair, out of her hair. And that by the time he got to her, that she was down on the ground, covered in blood. I said, well, what did you do? Did you try to help her? He goes, she was already dead. He goes, and I got all freaked out and scared. He goes, I done something I probably shouldn't have done. He goes, I buried her body.
Who can say who Michael hopes to convince of this outlandish version of events? Maybe himself. Something that Denise's father must face when he's asked to identify his daughter's body. With his positive ID, the ugly truth about Denise's fate is confirmed. In his interview with police, Rick recalls a conversation he had with Nathan, his son-in-law, about the monster who took her from them.
He's kicking himself in the ass, you know. Maybe we shouldn't live down there that good day. Nothing.
You can't do that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing he's done. Nothing she done. He's just a piece of shit. I can't say it. And one day we're going to be able to go to court and tell him that.
From here, however, the investigation will only intensify, because although Denise has finally been found, the discovery came too late. Police know they have the man responsible for Denise's death, but what they don't know is whether or not he had help, and there are two men who were in contact with him on the day of the incident who can help them get to the bottom of that question. The first being Michael's cousin, Harold. They call him back to the station, where he tells them the same story about Michael's visit to his home that night.
I think that you're giving me this much. Okay, just listen to me, Harold. I think you're giving me this much, and there's a lot more. I'm not. Your cousin's where he is now. We can't change that. All you can do is speak for this girl, okay, Denise. Right. And I know that you're holding back something because it just doesn't make sense, okay? Because I was going to tell you this. I know she called 911 when she was at that house. And from listening to the tape, it sounds like she had gotten out of the car, was trying to get away or something because she was huffing and puffing. Harold, I need the truth, buddy. I really do. Your daughter, okay? Yeah. She calls us before you call us. Right. Okay. And she tells us that that you told her that you saw a female that had gotten out of the had gotten out of the car, was tied up, and he grabbed them, put her back in the car.
Well, he was doing something outside the car. I didn't know. I couldn't tell what he was doing. I didn't see nobody tied up. I didn't see anybody.
Okay. What did you see?
I seen a girl on the front seat when he was climbing over. She was in the middle of the seat.
The detectives don't believe they're getting the full story from Harold, and they ask him to take a polygraph. He agrees, but hours into the test, the administrator has some bad news.
Burnout. We all experience it at some point. It's so important to me that I've actually been working on it in therapy.
What I'm telling you, when I scored the chart, you didn't do so well.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looked like it.
You noticed that too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
We'll go hit the score button. What's that say?
Extreme deception indicated.
Extreme deception indicated.
Oh my goodness, man.
So let's have the real story.
I don't want to go to jail or anything for this shit.
You said you're going to jail.
No, I don't know.
I know you feel. Listen, I know you feel bad. Okay? I know you feel bad. But you gotta move on in your life. You can't hold this in you.
Harold admits he saw a little more than he let on previously.
Well, I have it pretty much the when I said it, except for I see them wrestling by the front door with somebody on the other side of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they put her in the car and to the seats, and but I didn't see her tied up. I didn't see anyone get out of the car. I didn't see any of that. But, you know, it upset me quite a bit. And I didn't do nothing.
Investigators now move on to speaking with the second man who had contact with Michael that day, his friend Robert, who went shooting with the suspected murderer mere hours before Denise's kidnapping. When he speaks to detectives again, he reveals that he wasn't entirely honest the last time he was here, and that he was hanging out at Mike's house a few days before the abduction.
We got an issue here. You realize this?
No.
Yeah. We really need to think about what we're saying. Hey, you put your phone down. Okay. This is important information. This is information that we should have got the other night. This is information that you didn't mention this, okay? So
I don't understand how this has anything.
This is a lot. Okay, this is huge. Because I think you've lied, okay?
Okay.
You know you have.
I lied about the other...
You lied a lot of things right now, and I need you to help me.
I'm not purposely trying to.
We have a lot of loose ends that we have to tie up here.
And I understand that. I wouldn't be here.
I need your help. We
need your help.
We need you.
I'm trying to desperately.
No trying that, okay? This trying crap is over, okay? Do.
With Robert's answers, the detectives ultimately accept that they stem from his desire to keep the peace in his marriage, and not from any active involvement in Michael's sadistic crimes. However, he can't rule out a possibility that will undoubtedly haunt him for years to come.
And I remember seeing that there was a few bullets left in the box, and I remember saying to him, you're welcome to shoot those off, because I didn't really want to keep them, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. And I remember him saying, no, it's no big deal. He was kind of done, and that was when we were at the end of our
So you're not
meeting.
sure if his gun was loaded or not, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not positive. I know that I didn't see him load it. I know that he didn't ask me for any shells. I know that I didn't, other than offering for him to shoot those, I didn't say, here, take some with you or anything. Afterwards, after the officer came over and after all of this stuff came about and it became a reality to me, then naturally I'm thinking, oh my God, there's a possibility that he could have taken a couple bullets and put them in his pocket for all I know.
Indeed, police send a gun expert to the Knights Trail shooting range to compare casings on the ground with the one found at the crime scene. The expert concluded that 3 casings at the range are an exact match for the 9mm casing found near Denise's shallow grave. Police never find the gun itself, and while Robert makes mention of Michael's limited skill with a firearm,
he was kind of embarrassed because he was all over the target.
The autopsy reveals that he needed no particular talent. The gunshot wound on Denise's face indicates that the gun was pressed against her temple when it was fired. After terrorizing the 21-year-old for hours, Michael King coldly executed her in an abandoned lot while her family prayed for her safe return. The autopsy also tells the ugly truth about Michael's depraved desires. His DNA is found inside Denise, and a physical examination shows overwhelming evidence of sexual assault. Michael is slapped with new charges, including first-degree murder. If there is any solace to be had for Denise's family, it must come from the fact that law enforcement did everything possible to make that happen. Unfortunately, that solace is short-lived. One piece of information soon comes to light, and it's a big one which could have changed the outcome of this tragedy.
I pulled up to a light. I don't know the name of the cross street, but I was on 41, and I heard some screaming.
On the day of Denise's kidnapping, authorities fielded several related calls to 911, one from Denise's husband Nathan, another from Harold, Michael King's cousin, and another from Harold's daughter Sabrina, and of course, a blood-curdling call from Denise herself. But there was another 911 call that night. It came in at 6:30 p.m., only 16 minutes after Denise's call. It was from a woman named Jane, who was alarmed enough about the car driving beside her to notify the police.
And I was at a stoplight, and a man pulled up next to me, and there was a child screaming in the car. Not a happy...
What kind of vehicle was he in?
It's a blue Camaro, in the 90s or early 2000s or something.
Okay, it was a baby or
No, it was a child. It was more than
how old?
You know what? It's dark, and I turned to look at him, and he's a white male, sort of light-colored hair, sort of plump. He's behind me now, and I tried to slow down so he could pass me and I could read his license plate.
Ma'am, don't hang up, okay?
I'm not. Okay.
Jane's details didn't precisely match the information given to dispatchers and police that day, but they were certainly close enough that they should have generated some action. At 5'1" and 109 pounds, Denise could have easily been mistaken for a child when seen through dark windows and traffic. And whatever discrepancies there were, it's clear that Jane was seeing something alarming in the other car.
And there's a kid in the back seat, and they kept banging on the window.
And it was banging on the window.
And screaming.
And crying.
And screaming. Like screaming.
Okay.
And not a happy scream, like, get me out of here scream.
Given the fact that law enforcement had no knowledge whatsoever about Michael's location at that time, Jane's in-progress sighting could have made all the difference.
Okay, now it's green, and green arrows, and he's going now.
He's turning left on Toledo Blade.
Yeah. Do you want me to turn? Try to follow him, or?
Okay. Does he want her to follow him?
Should have, bro.
Okay. Can you turn?
He just turned on Toledo Blade. I don't know if I can catch up. There's a bunch of traffic, and I can't get over.
Jane doesn't have the opportunity to give chase, but the dispatchers have more than enough information to pass along to officers. Unfortunately, the information never gets to them because by this time, King had left Northport and entered Charlotte County on US 41, where Jane had spotted the Camaro. However, her call had passed into Charlotte County despite Sarasota County and Northport officers handling the case. Confusion reigned in the dispatch center that night as the supervisor tried to establish a single patch between all three areas handling the case. This, combined with the shift change that was happening at the time, led to her call being misfiled. Police on the ground and in the air, all of whom were desperately searching for Michael King's green Camaro at that time, never got the information. Michael didn't get pulled over for another 2.5 hours, by which time Denise was already dead. According to documents from the internal investigation, a Charlotte County dispatcher later acknowledged she messed up and was suspended for 60 hours for failing to send deputies to respond to Kowalski's call. Another dispatcher was suspended for 36 hours.
Yeah, we've all heard screaming. We've heard roller coaster screams, screams of delight, horror movie screams. I've never heard a scream like this in my life.
Could Jane's call have made the difference between Denise's life or death that night? Her husband Nathan certainly thought so. In the coming years, he would form a foundation in his deceased wife's name, aimed at improving 911 systems and training across the country. His efforts would help push the Denise Amber Lee Act through the Florida legislature 2 years after Denise's murder. According to news sources, Governor Charlie Crist signed the bill into law in the summer of 2010, mandating state certification and standardized training for all 911 operators. 2 years after that, Nathan Lee filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office for their failure to handle the 911 call properly. He and his family walked away with an undisclosed settlement, but nothing can ever compensate for losing Denise. In the meantime, the wheels of justice moved against the only man responsible for Denise's death. Michael King was convicted of premeditated murder, and on December 4th, 2009, nearly 2 years after Denise made her courageous and chilling 911 call from the inside of Michael's Camaro. In agreement with the unanimous jury recommendation, the judge sentenced Michael Lee King to death. Today, 16 years after Denise's tragic murder, Michael sits on death row at Union Correctional Institute in Rayford, Florida.
That's a fucking W, man. What the hell? W.